Alright there guys, welcome to, yes, you've guessed it, Monaco. After the success of my video at the Valencia abandoned Formula One circuit, I thought I'd come here, and where better place to start than the starting grid. Where we've got trophies from Monaco Grand Prix Pass, the 1950 one here, and this is a private club here, so you can't go in, but they've got a few trophies on display outside. So we're going to go have a look down at the starting grid. I've got Panos with me.
Hello.
Of course, another Formula One fan. I'm Mercedes, he's Ferrari. You can tell from his attire today. So yeah, off we go. Let's go have a walk around the circuit and see what it's like on a really hot summer Saturday. So first of all, we found the famous Monaco casino, but this one's a supermarket. People in Monaco are so rich that you can buy a jet ski in the supermarket. What you can get in the bargain bin in the Monaco supermarket. You've got these fancy little sweets. Gone down from $6.65 to only $3.33. Wow, cheap. Little energy bar, €1.70. The prices are a bit more expensive than in neighbouring France. Even a British section in the supermarket, so I feel right at home. Look. Double-decker bars, which will be £1 back home imported, selling them for €3.40. A steal for the supermarket. I didn't realise Nando's was now considered English. So I wanted to start our little track tour here at Planet Sushi, because I always notice it when I'm watching, when Martin Brundle's doing his grid walk, that there's this place called Planet Sushi just opposite where all the cars are lining up, and here we are on the grid. Over here, you've got one of the grid spots. You've got this French car perfectly parked in it, and this is grid position number 6 apparently. And there's pole position just down there. Shall we go and see it?
Yep, let's go.
Probably shouldn't walk in the middle of the road because it's a public road the rest of the year. And here it is, the start-finish line. And here's grid position number 1, where famous drivers over the years, Lewis Hamilton, Ayrton Senna, Michael Schumacher, Max Verstappen of course nowadays, line up on what is known as the track where getting pole position has the biggest advantage, because it's so difficult to overtake around here. And so now we're walking, believe it or not, into the pit area. But of course, because the Grand Prix was all, what, 3 months ago, it's all been taken down. This is where the mechanics and everybody, the paddock's located, doing the pit stops, and the rest of the year, it's a nice little area for families to come for a little walk. Oh, and here's the famous swimming pool. So the corner behind it over there is actually called the swimming pool corner. And there was a bit of famous commentary back when Murray Walker and James Hunt used to do it. And Murray said that one of the cars, I think it might have been Alain Prost or something like that, said that one of the cars was on fire. And James Hunt quite sarcastically pointed out, well, that should put the flames out. There is a circuit here throughout the year. It's the go-kart circuit at the end of the pit lane. So this statue here is from the winner of the first ever Monaco Grand Prix, William Grover, 14th of April 1929 in his Bugatti. Wow, look at that. And now this, believe it or not, is the roundabout at Sainte Dévote, the first corner. That's why it's called Sainte Dévote. You can see the little church over there, dedicated to Sainte Dévote. And you might remember some moments over the years, such as 1997, Michael Schumacher, whilst leading the race in the rain, caught his tyre on one of the white lines and ended up down there, but had enough time to do a quick U-turn, come back on the track and go on to win the race by, I think it was over a minute he won that one.
Sainte Dévote clearly very slippery as Schumacher goes straight on, the luxury of a 30-second lead allowing him to rejoin without drama. His crew obviously unconcerned, the excitement too much for some.
And of course Max Verstappen crashed there in his first race here at Monaco for Toro Rosso back in 2015.
Very, very relieved to see Max Verstappen getting out of the car. We have a virtual safety car for the first time in Formula One.
And now here's the famous climb up the hill from turn 1. And I'll tell you what, it's a lot steeper than you realise when you're walking. What's quite striking here on the hill is that you've got all these fancy hotels behind me. People riding their loud motorbikes and cars as they go around little parks. It's amazing that all of this is right next to a Formula One circuit. Look at this. So at this junction here, the circuit counterintuitively heads off to the right, because on the left you've got the main road there, but the circuit actually continues straight on here. And it's the highest point of the circuit, and wow, what a view you get of the harbour. And now we're on to the long sweeping left-hander that leads into Casino Square. It's amazing, from watching the TV coverage, you barely ever notice that all these shops are along here. Famous brands, I guess, which I've never even heard of. So the hill we just climbed, it's actually called Monte Carlo. We're on the top of Monte Carlo now, so this is the Monte Carlo part of Monaco, the capital city. Here we go, so summer Monte Carlo cocktail. Cheers, guys. Made with real champagne, fancy stuff. €22 well spent. So here we are now inside the Casino Monte Carlo. Wow, what a building. Panos just said it oozes glamour. So to get in the casino itself, you've got to buy a ticket over there in the billetterie. So we're going to go continue walking the track now. So you see this bump in the road here, that's the one which all the cars, when you see them coming down the hill from Casino Square, they go right, then left, because they want to avoid that bump. They run the Formula One car so low to the floor, but they don't want to scrape the floor of the car along here. So that's why the racing line actually comes out the back of the corner, down here, and then where that camper van there is. So this here, I believe, is part of the circuit, and it's used as a cafe during the summer months. Look at this. So here is another famous corner. Coming down the hill, you'll recognise this from the TV, maybe, kind of. And this is one of the escape roads, and if you're a Lewis Hamilton fan like me, it's a very famous escape road because it's where Nico Rosberg went off when he got a bit late on the brakes, when he was already on pole position and ruined Lewis Hamilton's lap.
And as he turns in, he locks the right front brake up. Now he's having a bit of indecision in the steering wheel. The car won't turn, he's heading for the barrier, and then he decides to turn left and go down the slip road. Now the stewards have had a look at this. They've decided that he was on a faster lap. He was going faster at that point in the corner. He did put on the brakes that little bit later, and they've no penalty basically. The grid position, pole position for Nico Rosberg, second for Lewis Hamilton stands.
And on the inside here, you've still got the curbs from the Grand Prix, and of course, in the race this year, George Russell came off the circuit here, came back on and clattered into Sergio Perez.
Huge run off there, and he's gone all the way to the end of it. Meanwhile, somebody else down the escape road. There's two cars down the escape road.
And it's... so we have a 5-second time penalty for the rejoin. Yeah, understood.
Now this part, of course, on the first lap, very slow around here. So now here we are on the inside of the tightest corner in the whole of Formula One. Look, it's a 180-degree turn. And this corner, the Lowe's hairpin, the station hairpin, the Fairmont hairpin, you might know it as, named after the Fairmont Hotel here, creates one of the design constraints for the cars. Because of this corner, because it's the tightest in the sport, the cars need to be able to turn around it, of course. Full lock, and you can see on the onboard visuals from the drivers that they actually have different ways of getting around this corner. So some of them will actually take their right hand when they're going around the corner and they'll lift up the steering wheel to go all the way around. Some of them just, you know, go full lock and cross their arms over, but there are a fair few whose driving style involves them taking their hand to the underside of the steering wheel and pulling it round that way. Incredible. And did you know there's a bus stop here as well? Unfortunately, if you come here and rent a car, you can't drive the racing lines because they're public roads and you've got to stay on the correct side of the road at all times. The curb here on the outside of this corner is actually pretty steep, look. You don't want to get your car wedged up on that, I tell you. And over here is where I remember the first Monaco Grand Prix I ever watched, 1996. Michael Schumacher leading the race on the first lap, crashed out just here into the barrier. His first Monaco Grand Prix for Ferrari.
We're down to 20 cars, and that's Schumacher! Michael Schumacher is out of the Monaco Grand Prix before the first lap has even been completed. Here it is. Now let's see what happens. He comes down to the Portier, loses control and goes into the Armco.
You come out here. We weren't meant to walk through there apparently, but we did anyway. This is where Ayrton Senna had his crash in the 80s, and then you come here and it's the tunnel. So we're going to cross over. Let's go. Yeah, we're going to have to jump this barrier. These guys loving it, cycling the circuit.
Ayrton Senna has hit the wall.
Senna in the barrier. Senna in the barrier. He's out of the car.
Ayrton Senna is out of his car and out of this race.
Ayrton Senna goes out of the lead of the Monaco Grand Prix.
And of course, this is where Sergio Perez crashed in 2022 in qualifying for the race. That incident which caused so much controversy over at Red Bull Racing. Hi guys, you alright?
Let's see what we can find out here. Oh,
no, just lost it at the apex.
Looked like it was going a good sort of 20-30 kph too fast, as did Sainz, who tried to avoid it and did that classic thing. Now they've both clobbered the rear.
So yeah, the cars come screeching out of this right-hander here. Get as close as you can to the barrier up here on the curb, and then carry on through the tunnel. Did you know there's a car park in the tunnel at the Monaco Grand Prix Circuit? And over here is what looks like a bit of land reclamation. Obviously Monaco, very small place, it's a micro-state, principality. So if you can't buy some land, on the land in Monaco, in the 2 square miles you got here, why not build out to sea? Something I always remember here as well from playing the Formula One games on the PlayStation, especially when I was a kid, Formula One 97 is, you'd be going through the tunnel, and if you were driving in the weird kind of third-person mode where you could see the whole of the car and all the cars around you, when you came into the tunnel, the camera would actually have to go down because the tunnel's not high enough for that camera.
Preparing now for the chicane as they exit the tunnel.
So weird seeing cars go backwards through the tunnel. And there's a little shop at the end of the tunnel where you can go and buy your Formula One merchandise. Look at this. You've got your George Russell hat there. Only €80. Go online and buy it instead. Don't come here. So you're driving out the tunnel at about 180 miles an hour. You got a car behind you, a car in front of you, and you got to pick your braking point for what's up ahead. The Nouvelle Chicane, and it's blind because there's a little crest here. And here's a little harbour where Kimi Raikkonen famously went down to a little yacht after he retired from the race in the 2000s when he was driving for McLaren.
Lap 51, and the man who was in second place, Kimi Raikkonen, is pulling off the racetrack, and Raikkonen's car too is on fire. So we've lost the second and third place man in this race. There is Kimi Raikkonen. He's not even gone back to the paddock. He's got his shirt off. He's on his boat, which has a splendid name, One More Toy. He's with some of his best mates from Finland who've consumed their own weight in champagne and beer.
It's actually longer than you think, the drag from the end of the tunnel down to the Nouvelle Chicane just down here. Which actually, the public road just takes you back up to Sainte Dévote, up to turn 1. Here is the Nouvelle Chicane. Here you'll have a big grandstand with all the fans in. Obviously not here at the moment. And what you never get to see on TV is this big piece of real estate which looks like a yacht in the harbour, but actually it's not, it's just, yeah, a building here. So from the Nouvelle Chicane you've got a little wiggle through this bar area here, hello, and then you head down to Tabac down there. And this part here where the cars are parked is actually the racetrack. That's not the racetrack, that's the public road. This is the racetrack. And you look, it's just like any other kind of public car park. Okay, you know, pretty smooth, but not perfect. Oh my word, it's so hot today in mid-August. 38 degrees according to the pharmacy, 32 degrees according to my phone. But yeah, hot, hot, hot. You can see why they don't run the race at this time of year. It'll just be too hot for all the hospitality, the drivers I guess as well. Even the tyres might melt. In the 50s and 60s, there wouldn't have been a barrier here and the cars would just race along the harbour side. Once or twice, ending up in the water. Of course, now you have Armco barriers up, especially here at what we call Tabac Corner. So now we get to here. This is the swimming pool section of the circuit. Many people say that the Monaco Grand Prix Circuit has been unchanged since the 30s. Well, it's not. There have been small changes over the years. The Nouvelle Chicane, which we've seen, and also this, what's called the swimming pool. You've got a left and a right. Then on the other side, you've got a right and a left. And that's because Monaco, the city, whatever, wanted to add in this swimming pool complex here, because you can't really go swimming in the harbour. So they added it in and they had to bypass it with this little bit of track just down here, and public road, of course. For the race weekend, this part of the circuit is much tighter. You come out of the first chicane, you come into this, the second one. It's pretty tight over the curbs here on the inside. And Panos has avoided me for this part. Obviously he's a Ferrari fan. If you're Charles Leclerc, you're on pole position, but then you go crash your car just over here, where this Italian car is now.
Are you okay? Are you okay, Charles?
Yeah. And of course, during race weekend, this area will be covered with grandstands as well, you see, with the blue seats. And now we're coming up to the Rascasse corner, named after this bar here, La Rascasse. It's where you come and party on the circuit during the race weekend. So the on-track action has finished, of course. And then this is the pit lane entrance. Or just up here, actually. Yeah, this is the pit lane entrance. Take a hard right. You're already going at a pretty slow speed, so you don't need to slow down, really. You just hit the pit lane limiter into the pit lane. Oh yeah, you can see the pit lane marked out here by this bit of tarmac. Or if you're not doing a pit stop, you carry on around Anthony Nogue's corner, so it doesn't go along this part of the circuit here, well, this part of the street. The circuit actually follows kind of the wrong way. Well, not exactly. Come up here, and then this is the last corner of the circuit. Anthony Nogue's, and you're onto the start-finish straight. You hit DRS if you're brave enough, if you want to get a bit more speed, but it doesn't really make that much of a difference around Monaco. Here's the street sign at the last corner. Go to Nice or Menton. So we've taken a bus up the hill and we're in real Monaco now. The original Monaco, Monaco Ville, on top of the hill. Oh look, Prince Albert came here once. I guess he went everywhere here once. Look at this road sign, it's like being in Belgium. Palais right, Palais left. We're going in the palace, the Palais de Monaco, €10. See what it's like. Tickets, you can see there's a different picture on each one, so you can collect them like Pokemon cards. Look at those. Keeps you coming back and spending more money. So basically, it's the Royal Palace of Monaco, where the Prince and his family live. Very grand. It's open to the public for just €10 to visit. The throne.
Mais je crois que d'ailleurs, à partir du couronnement d'Albert, ils ont plus ressorti de pièces.
Here in the Gallery of the Princes, you've got a bit of information about the functions and the different princes of Monaco over the years. These are their functions, so fêter et être fêté, so celebrate and be celebrated. Paparazzi avec les collaborateurs, so my best translation for paparazzi, fraternize with collaborators, I guess. Construire l'image, so build the image of Monaco in the wider world. And recevoir, so when people come and visit Monaco, receive them, give them a good time. Prince Rainier with his little family. Which one is Albert? Probably this one, the oldest one, I would imagine. So spotted a little something on the horizon. What is it, mate?
My favorite stadium. The original Super Cup.
Stade Louis II, is it?
Yeah.
Is it Louis II? Yeah. That with its famous arches. Used to host the UEFA Super Cup, now they share it around obviously for financial reasons. They like to make a bit of money by bidding on these things, UEFA, but yeah, that's where AS Monaco played down there.
And it was a tradition.
What was the tradition?
Like Friday morning, there was a draw for the Champions League in Grimaldi.
Ah, in the Grimaldi Forum.
Grimaldi Forum,
yeah.
Which is placed next to Casino. And the night, Friday night, it was the UEFA Super Cup final.
Yeah, the winners of the UEFA Cup against the winners of the Champions League. Now the Europa League, the UEFA Cup of course. So yeah, this is still Monaco over here, and I guess behind that rock over there I imagine is France. Maybe even some of these buildings are in France, who knows.
I think after the rock.
But here on the east side of Monaco Ville, you can see the Formula One track, so you can see where the pit lane is when the race is on. First corner, up the hill, where we walked earlier. Back down here. Swimming pool section and then the final corners. And what's strange here about the Monaco pit lane as well is it's the only pit lane in Formula One where the pit boxes face away from the start-finish line. So they're facing the final sector of the circuit, down facing the harbour, rather than the actual start-finish straight itself, which is down here in the shade now. And another fun fact about the circuit, it's actually, by modern standards, too short to be a Formula One circuit. You've got to be at least 3.5 kilometres long. This is just a shade over 3 kilometres, but for historical reasons, they allow the race to still go ahead. And it would never get FIA Grade 1 status these days.
Unless if you're Bahrain.
Yeah. Ah, what? The outer circuit of Bahrain, yeah.
The 82 laps.
Yeah. That was a fun one, I enjoyed that. George Russell in the Mercedes. Yeah. Actually see a lot of the track from up here. But I do wonder what it's like on race weekend, because obviously you've got the grandstands down there. Is it restricted access up here? I would imagine so. You can't just, come and stand here and watch the race. Have you seen how people walk in Monaco? Very proud, like this. So, we're back where we started, at the pit complex and the start-finish line. Hope you enjoyed our little trip around the Monaco Formula One circuit and discovering a little bit of what this principality has to offer, the fancy palace and all of that. And I guess we'll see you on the next one. Take care, guys. Goodbye from Monaco. Goodbye! My God, Paps, I think we just spotted Charles Leclerc. A bit of philosophy. Hell is other people. Change to hell is yourself being cut by others. Another bit of philosophy when in France. Well, Monaco. And if you do want to visit Monaco, it's quite easy to do by public transport if you're staying in nearby Nice or one of the other little towns around like Villefranche-sur-Mer. You just take the train to this station here, Monaco Ville. In fact, I think it's just called Gare de Monaco. And look, it's all fancy inside. And the entrance to it is right next to turn 1 on the circuit.